Canuck.
Hello and welcome to the stream. My name is Liz. And today, for the next hour, you are going to be able to hang around with some really, really cool people in the chat. And if you are a treasure hunter, you have come to the right place, because in that chat, on the side of your screen, there are going to be people from all over the world, and they all enjoy the amazing hobby that is known as treasure hunting. If that is something that gets you all warm and excited, then please consider subscribing to the channel. And when you do, you know, you got to hit that notification bell and tell YouTube, because as I read in the chat, people aren't getting notified, and that is not a good thing. So my goodness, before we get things started, I would ask you all to hit the like button on this stream. Just like that thing right there is saying, it not only helps the stream to rank a little bit higher, but just one day we may end up on someone's suggested page. The amount of people in that chat is going to get like crazy. Crazy is a good thing. Right on. I need to say hello to each and every one of you, because if you weren't out there, be very, very lonely. So let me say hello to everyone. I'm going to scroll up to the very, very top of the list, and it appears as though the very, very first person in the chat today was Mary K's Treasures. So Mary K's Treasures, thank you so very much for joining me today. Right on. Holy smokes. I've got tons of things going on my screen. Got like 2 chats. I got to remember which one to look at. Got 2 cameras. Oh my goodness. Mary Kay, thank you for joining the New Jersey Digger. Right on. Welcome to you, sir. Wonderful to have you here. John Franklin is also in the house. Thank you very much, John. Jean P. Jean Digs History. Right on. Front and center. My goodness. Jeremy's in the chat. I had him here. I don't know what happened, but I will get him back, so don't worry about that. Mona. And if you didn't already know, Mona is my #1 fan. Right on, Mona. Right on. Who else is here today? Straight up metal detecting, that is Mr. Tripwire. And as he always says, hello, diggers and diggets. Great to have you here, Tripwire. Seriously, wonderful to have you here. Back-breaking metal detecting. Yes, thank you for joining. For me, it's my knees. Keep going up and down. My knees are like, at the end of the day, really, really sore. Show Me Treasure is watching and lurking. That's all right. I do appreciate you stopping by. Dirt Diggers UK. Holy smokes. Didn't I tell you that we were international? Dirt Diggers UK. Holy smokes. Wonderful to have you here. That could be Scott, could be Kimmy, could be both. I don't know, but wonderful to have you here. Thank you very much for joining me. My goodness. The Metal Sharks, my sharky friends, are here as well. Wonderful. Let me see. The Talca Detector is in the house, and oh my goodness, I need to speak some Spanish. Oh my goodness, Mona. I wish I could highlight my chat, but that's not working tonight. I don't think Bender's working either. We'll see. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. We'll see. If Bender doesn't give you a dance, Mona, I'll give you a dance. And I don't know why the background just went mental. Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Mona. My background is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to try and slow that down somehow. Oh my goodness. I tell you, lots of weirdo things happening, but that's okay. We're not going to let that get to us. So there you go. Talca Detector says, hola, amigo. Amiga, I guess, sorry. Hola, amigo. Felicito por tu video. Saludos cordiales desde Chile. Right on, right on. Bienvenidos, Telka. Right on in Spanish. Wonderful to have you here. Danny boy, just digging is here as well. I seriously need to slow this down because this is probably going to send some people into like spinning around. Let's see if I can slow that down. Let me slow that down. There you go. That's a bit better. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Apologies. David Frazier is here as well. David, wonderful to have you here. Marty's verse, Marty Verstall's digging with Marty, also in the house. The Country Diggers. Holy smokes. Wonderful to have you here. Who else is here? Great Finds. That's Mike. Mike, wonderful to have you here. And thank you so much for joining. Treasure Talk is in the house. My goodness. If you're not subscribed to Treasure Talk, every Monday at 7 o'clock, they have some amazing guests. And oh my goodness, their giveaways, holy smokes. Definitely have to check them out if you have not already. Oh my goodness. I think I have said hello to each and every one of you. I think I have. I'm going to have to get... I gotta get our guest. Oh my goodness. Let me get our guest. Our guest is here. Okay. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. Our guest is in the house. So I just want to say, oh my goodness, I'm so discombobulated. I have the very, very pleasure. I don't even know if that's what the word is, but very special guest today. You know him as Paystreak Superfreak. His name is also Jeremy. So I'm going to welcome Jeremy, and we're going to chit chat about not only the Deus 2, but the update. And have your questions ready because we are going also to be answering your questions. So if you want to put them in the chat and put question in capitals or something to get my attention, that would be a really, really good thing. Kenneth Bird just joined the chat. Right on. Kenneth, thank you for joining me. All right, here we go. Let's get Jeremy. Here he is. There he is. Jeremy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Wonderful. It is an absolute beyond pleasure to have you here on the show. So thank you so very much for joining me. Right on. Now, Jeremy.
It's a pleasure being here.
Wonderful. Now, the main reason that I have you here is to talk about the new Deus 2 update. And I gotta say that watching people's videos, different channels and stuff, either you love the update or you don't like the update. What do you think? Just generally, what do you think about the update?
Well, another one came out today, right? The 1.1 software came out today, and I've been using that for a few days. That beta, and it's doing well too. And, you got to learn software. You got to have patience with it. That's just the whole thing. You can't just give up on some software the first hunt or maybe 2 hunts or 5 hunts. You just have to learn the tones. It's tonal. The Deus 2 is a tonal machine.
Now, the Deus 2 is a very powerful machine. This is not a beginner machine. At least I don't think it is. Correct?
It's a beginner machine. Right. It's a beginner machine. It can be a beginner machine if when you first start out, any machine you can just turn on, start hitting targets. But the Deus 2 has a very steep learning curve. There's not a lot on it, but those settings are interdependent on each other. And once you change one thing, a lot of other things are going to change too.
We're kind of having some, the internet is a little messing up the stream here a little bit, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best. I was not aware that there was a version 1.1 update today. What was added to version 1 on the 1.1?
They settled the machine down, made it not so hot on the nails, and you'll just have to figure that out yourself. I've tested it for a few hours, and the sensitive full tones program is still hot, and the parameters and the algorithm for the silencer in the sensitive full tones program is the same as 1.00 on this version. The Pros 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 have the same parameters of silencer as the 7.1. So, the silencer, if you go down to 0 on your silencer in the sensitive full tones program, it's going to be hard on nails still, but you're in full tones, so you can hear the iron. If you're in 2-tone or 5-tone, you don't get the range of iron, right? Because it's a single tone. You can assign one single tone for iron when you're in 2, 3, 4, 5-tone. Full tones, you have a full sliding scale of iron that a target will glide through as you're swinging that detect foil over that target. And with full tones, you can hear all that whole range of iron, over 100 tones of iron for the iron range. Area that we don't talk about is iron range. That's what it is. That's where pretty much most the small iron will read up at, but the big iron will read up high. It'll pulse. All metal detectors pulse on large iron.
Now, for the people that are watching, and they're not aware of that terminology when it pulses on iron, can you just explain that just quickly for those that really aren't that experienced?
Well, all metal detectors have the same trait. You bring over a large piece of iron, and it's going to give you a high tone. It will false. It will high tone false. And if you have your iron volume down or really low, or if you have it notched out or discriminated out, you will not be able to hear those iron tones that are really important to indicate that it's falsing on iron. Doesn't make sense to people who are just getting into this hobby. If you turn the iron off, you won't dig more iron because you cannot hear the iron tones along with those falls. Iron volume has a lot to do with it with this new version. I struggle with it quite a bit when I was first using this beta software. It was quite a bit different. The iron volume, to raise that iron volume up or the iron range up. I have been setting my detector up so my iron volume is my mineral range, because that's your discrimination. I discriminate at 0, and I have to turn my iron range volume up with the full tones. You do that full tones now. I can raise that iron volume up on that second tone break, that second tone bend, and raise it all the way up to 10. And it's really important that you hear iron. It's really quiet in this version, and it will false. It will false less if you crank that iron volume up. It's really important. If you have the iron volume down low, you're going to be digging up nails. You're going to be digging up more iron.
A lot of people don't actually like to hear the iron.
They do not like to hear the iron, but it's just the same thing with the Deus 1. If you discriminate up high, if you discriminate out the iron, that iron tone is going to give you one single tone. You're not going to get a very good identification, like over bottle caps. The Deus 1 or the Deus you can have your bottle cap reject at 0. And if you discriminate out the iron, if you discriminate iron or you notch the iron out, you will not know that's a bottle cap. You cannot hear those iron tones that are really important.
That's true. Now, what of the new update, and like I said, I wasn't aware that there was a 1.1, but what do you think is the best feature, or the newest thing on the I'm going to say volume or version 1. So what do you think is the best thing about version 1?
Probably the tone volume breaks. Now that we can adjust those, we can assign certain segments or certain targets to have a certain volume in full tones. You can do the same on 5-tone, but you only have one selected tone on that iron when you're in 5-tone, or you can adjust it to 2 tones of iron. But when you're in that full range of iron, you can really identify iron a lot better. You got to wrap your ear around it. It just takes time. And I would start out with a higher silencer to start with. That's what I had to do with this Hoarder version. I like the 1.1 software too. It's doing good, but I prefer I prefer a detector that's going to be hot, and you don't have to run the detector hot like that. You can dial it back with the 1.0 software. A lot of people are having problems with nails, and it matters on your soil for a day. Every day is going to be different. This is the way it is with the Deus 2. Every site is different every day. So it's a lot easier than you would think to check nails out, just to dial it back. It's not about the sensitivity. The sensitivity is the last thing I will adjust on the Deus 2. I usually run pretty high sensitivity, no matter where I'm at. Except for the top loss. I don't use Deus 2 in the top loss. It's too powerful machine. Because it's a small coil. But the sensitivity setting, and once you drop your setting, your sensitivity down, you are decreasing the sensitivity to smaller targets. And I want to get those small targets out of the ground. And of course, depth, it will not go as nearly as deep because you can't hear the tones. It's basically another filter, but that's a major filter. A lot of people have their auto response jacked up really high. I've noticed that. It's not going to make the detector go deeper. It'll let you hear those deeper targets, but if you really listen hard, if you have headphones on, you could really go a lot deeper. I'm not trying to go deep anyway. I'm not trying to dig super deep. I'm trying to get the jewelry on the surface, the small jewelry, gold, silver, and whatnot, and the coins. But I have hot soil here too, so I don't have a really great chance with any detector or any coil to be going deep.
Yeah, it sounds like you have some really, really bad soil.
It's not too bad this time of year. Once it starts drying out, it's not too bad. Once the water table goes down a little bit and the ground is not saturated, it's not so bad. But when it's wet, like in the winter, to manage my settings and dial the detectors in, especially the Deus 2, since full tones, you're getting those tones, and those mineral tones can mask targets if you have your mineral tones up too high now. So you can drop those mineral tones down now in volume and not make it so loud, and then you can raise your iron volume up a different volume than the minerals, and you can jack your iron volume up or the iron range up, and really hear those deeper targets, because the deeper targets are still going to sound irony. They're not going to sound minerally, but they're going to sound irony. And when those targets are deep, it's going to have to slide down that range of wet soil and coke down to the iron range, and you want to hear those iron tones because that could be a deeper coin or a deep coin on its edge. Still going to happen. If you're in two-tone, that's not going to be a problem. But two-tone, I just have always got a lot of falsing with two-tone in my hot soil here.
What do you think about the high square?
I really like that. What the high square does is it amplifies the lower range of like minerals or iron. It basically amplifies that iron so you can hear it. You can dial your detector in and get it dialed in to, let's say, square tones. And then once you switch a tonal option, like over to square high tone, it changes the whole dynamic of your tones. You can hear that lower range. It really it's like it raises your iron volume up automatically without even having to adjust your iron volume. It really increases the amplitude of the iron, and that's what I want to hear. When I'm in iron, I want to hear the iron so I can hear that rejected tones.
Yes,
If
I
not,
agree.
Those masked targets. So hear me out on this. If you notch out iron, you will get a clipped tone within those notched segments on the edge, on the fringe of those notched targets. And that shortened blip or clipped tone is just like a masked target. That's what a masked target sounds like. And if you cannot hear that notched out target, you're going to be digging up a bunch of junk. You're going to be digging up a lot more junk, and it will not unmask targets nearly as well if you're notched. If you have segments of junk or iron or foil notched out, I've shown that in videos before. If you notch the foil out, you're going to have targets that are masked by foil that detector will not be able to see unless you're in a lower frequency. You can go into a lower frequency if the soil permits it. Sometimes the soil will not permit those lower frequencies.
Wow. Now, you put out a video, I think it was yesterday, called The Magic Program. Can we talk about that? I thought that was, I gotta say, and I'm gonna say, when I was looking on my on my homepage and I saw Magic Program, and for a split second, I had a little battle in my brain. I'm like, did he really make a program? But he couldn't have made a program because he doesn't really believe in programs. So I had to watch the video. That was like...
It's all about configuring your detector for conditions. The Deus 2 and the Deus, and even pretty much all machines, those preset programs are optimized for, like, if you use beach program on the beach, right? That makes sense. You want to use beach programs on the beach because they're optimized for those conditions. And each program on the Deus 2 is optimized for certain conditions. And you can tweak it a little bit. You can change the tonal options for that program. That's usually what I do. That's the first thing I do is just change the tonal options. I prefer square tones. After hunting with the Deus 2 for years and years with the PWM tones, I want to use something different. I want to see if there's something different I can do to get better performance out of it. But I've never posted any programs that I've developed on YouTube because this is just always changing. Sites change. The site could change within an hour, and the more targets you get out of that area, you're clearing out layers and layers. So you have to adjust your detector to go deeper or to get different targets out of the ground. You can dial your detector in to hit high conductive targets, or you can dial your detector to get lower conductive targets. I dial my detector in to get higher conductive targets, lower conductive targets, shallow targets, and deep targets. That's my dialed in program. That's my strategy. I want to get a lot of different, a broad range of targets out as I'm swinging over that soil there. Sure, I'm not going to get every target in the ground if I'm doing that, but it's more pleasurable to hear, and I will get more targets out in a certain area. If I just cherry pick, like for coins, I'm just going to get the coins, and when I come back that area, I have to go over that area again and
Mm-hmm.
again and again, with that same strategy to get more targets out of the ground. I just want to get a lot of targets out during my videos. I really want. I want to get a lot of targets out. That's my whole strategy too. I really want to clear the layers out. That's what you
Mm-hmm.
must do in parks these days. You
Mm-hmm.
c- so hard to cherry pick for coins these days. We got all those coins back in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I would come home with a handful of silvers every single hunt,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Back in the days, when there wasn't nearly as much trash and there were just basically ring poles.
Mm-hmm.
Ring poles were abundant back then.
Mm-hmm.
But even in my parks nowadays, it's very, very seldom will I find a ring pole because we hunted all those ring poles out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically modern trash. All the last 15 years of junk is just masking all the targets deeper in the ground.
Mm-hmm. So it's fair to say, obviously, that there is no such thing as a hunted out park. I mean,
There is not. The thing with park hunting is you have to choose your battles. Are you going to dig up foil a lot,
mm,
or are you going to dig up coins? When
mm-hmm.
you hunt for coins, coins are really easy. They are, because they're uniform shape, they're uniform size, and they're uniform conductivity. Once you start getting all those coins out, the easy targets, you can come back and start dialing your metal detector in
Mm,
to hit those masked targets, masked coins,
mm-hmm.
or those coins on edge. Because the coins on edge sound completely different from those coins that are laying flat. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have a notched coin program, it's not going to do very well on those coins on edge or those masked targets.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much junk being deposited in the parks these days. um, you just have to pick your spots and just clear them out and keep them clean. Like if I find a spot that has a lot of jewelry in it, or is a hot spot of jewelry throughout the years, I
Mm-hmm.
will keep that area clear.
Mm,
I will just go through there once a week just for a few minutes and just keep it clean. So when people are using the park in the summertime, I can come there and just get all the rings,
yeah.
get all the jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the rings or most of the jewelry that's deposited in my parks are deposited like this time of year in
Mm-hmm.
spring.
Mm-hmm.
But right now the ground is hard as a rock. I've only had a few hours of metal detecting in the grass
Mm-hmm.
in the last 3 weeks because the ground is just so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to use my shovel. I did go out detecting a few hours for the last few days testing that new software, but the ground is just too hard to dig. And
Mm-hmm.
and when people lose jewelry in the summertime, that jewelry and those coins do not penetrate in the ground because the ground is so hard. So, and in the wintertime, nobody's really using the park. So in the
Yeah.
springtime, that's really when the jewelry gets deposited in the
Mm-hmm.
parks.
Mm-hmm. I just want to thank New Hampshire Beach Metal Detecting for that amazing super chat. Thank you so very much, and it is wonderful to see you again. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Everything goes back into the channel, so thank you. Thank you very much for that. Now, Jeremy, you don't sound like you don't notch too much, do you? Or do you ever?
I never notch.
Yeah.
Never notch. I will notch the volume. The new features on the Deus 2 with the full tones, I will notch the volume. I can control the volume on my foil or my minerals,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll always keep the iron volume up. The iron volume is very important. I
Mm-hmm.
need to hear the iron volume. And the iron volume, how I run the Deus 2, I do not use the iron volume as an iron volume. I use it as a reject volume, maybe for my minerals, or maybe I'll reject all the way up to 50 or so if there's a lot of trash and I just want an easy hunt. I want to just get all the mid conductors or higher conductors out. But it's a reject tone. It really is. It's a tone break. It's not just your iron tone. Your iron tone is really not your iron tone. It's the reject tone. And at least I'm getting some kind of rejection tone when I'm rejecting targets out. I've dug a lot of targets out that are rejected, that have a reject tone, that were really good. But
Mm-hmm.
there's no way I would have heard that if I would have notched that target out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever I had the ability to do that with the Equinox 600, but I don't think I ever notched anything out. Gotta say, I went detecting with somebody who had everything notched out until 80. And I'm like, really? Holy smokes.
Just going for the coins.
Yeah. Everything else, forget about it.
Yeah, the thing with notching is it clips your tones. If you have segments notched out, like for pull tabs or for some foil, what it does is it disrupts your tones, and it's really hard to pinpoint because you're getting clipped audio. And so I want that full audio. When there's even a piece of junk in the ground, I want that full audio so I can pinpoint and get that target out of the ground, because it could be masking. And if I'm notching, so hear me out. If I'm skipping targets out, if I'm skipping targets in the ground, and I come back over that area again to that target, I'm going to keep on doing the same thing. I'm going to go, oh, should I dig it? Should I dig it? I don't know. It's got to rotate on it. And by that time, I could already have that target out of the ground and in my bag, moving on to the next target. That's how you clear the ground out. So I know there's some places that some people hunt are super trashy with a lot of bottle caps. But if you're there to get those bottle caps off the surface, when they've just been freshly dropped, I just go around with my magnet and just pick them all up. And it really increases your chances at finding targets, because if they're dropping bottle caps, they're dropping jewelry and coins. And those bottle caps will probably mask targets more than anything out there. Because foil you can get through with a certain frequency. You can drop your frequency down to get deeper. Nothing you can do to get through bottle caps. There's just, you have to dig them out, right? And they have a larger profile than a piece of foil, so that iron is really going to match target. I'm talking. Those are no problem to get through, but the foil that's wadded up, in the range, those have to come out of the ground to unmask targets.
So sorry, you keep the internet is like, sometimes you're cutting out. You cut out a bit on that. Now, I know that the park program has the bottle cap filter, or whatever you want to call it. Do you think it's a good idea to just get rid of those? Like, if you are going to be digging in park, to just put those to 0?
Well, the whole thing with a 0 bottle cap reject when you're in multi-frequency is really hard to discern bottle cap tones from a good target. And the thing with the multi-frequency, the reason why multi-frequency has a bottle cap reject and the mono frequency does not, is because the mono frequencies have a better range of tones. It's hard to explain that. That's one part is really hard to explain about the multi-frequency or the single frequency. Just like the Legend. The Legend does not have frequency. Many other detectors are the same way. It averages same thing with the bottle cap, and with the bottle cap, it's really hard to reject with tones. The Deus too, when you're, and even by numbers too. You can might be able to look at your numbers, and it might be oil on it. It's really tricky wise. You just have to reject them. I haven't really found a way to reject the bottle caps in multi-frequency. In single frequency, I can hear those iron tones really good. It's just about learning the detector and learning the tones with the bottle caps. If you really want to go there and have your bottle cap reject that 0 like I do, it's going to be really hard to reject those bottle caps by ear or anything. It's better to, if you don't want to dig the bottle caps out, just reject those in multi-frequency. And park program works really good. if you're in a really trashy area, it might not do very good on jewelry, but it will do good on coins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really mellow hunt. Not the stock program, but if you make a few adjustments to tune it in to the
Mm-hmm.
soil, it's a really good program. If you try to use a really hot, sparky program like sensitive full tones compared to the park program, when you're in trash, the sensitive full tones will be really hard. It'll be unstable and be hard to manage your settings in trash. If you just get to the site and you're just starting out with that, I start out with a higher silencer and a higher discrimination right when I get to a site to kind of feel it out a little bit. I never go in just full bore -6.4 discrimination, 0 silencer. That's some pretty hot settings for the Deus 2.
Now,
Always feel it out.
yeah. Now, if would you say that the Deus, there's obviously there's different kinds of detectorists, and some are way more technical. Some really get off on and I don't mean that in a bad way, but some people really get off on tweaking their machine and all that kind of stuff. But there's also kind of like you, but there are also some people that like that the Deus 2 is a very high end machine and a powerful machine. And is it okay? Is it okay to dig in, just like pick a program and just use it the way that XP designed it? Or is that okay? I might be asking for permission here, but is that an okay starting point?
You have permission to do anything. Everybody is hunting in different. Everybody is hunting in different conditions, and those conditions are going to change. And everybody has different learning abilities. Everybody has different physical abilities. A lot of people cannot do what I do. I'm in very good shape, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I'm healthy. I'm healthy for now.
Yeah.
I'm getting older, and my bones are starting to feel the pain when I wake up in the morning or after a long hunt. But you can do whatever you want. That's the whole beauty of metal detecting. People are free to do whatever they want. And I don't want to hold a person back by saying use my programs, or do it my way, or it's just no way. Everybody has to learn at a different pace. And if you prohibit that learning or you interrupt that learning, it's going to make it not fun for them, and it's going to make it very difficult for you as you're trying to guide them through the hobby. I don't really teach people how to metal detect. I just observe them and see what they're struggling with, because a lot of times I can be out there for 4 or 5 hours, and I step back, put my detector down, and look at myself. What the hell am I doing? I'm just struggling. And the whole thing with observing a person detecting, you're not there doing it. So it's just a different angle of really it's different type of detecting when you're watching a person detect. I like making videos because I can really learn that I can learn from. I really like doing that. But it's all about learning. Everybody has different abilities, and we just really got to accept that. And not everybody's perfect. I don't think anybody's perfect, especially me. But I wanted to show you guys this today. My camera broke. My GoPro camera frame broke on me today. Luckily I had a spare one. But today I used the version 1.1.
Okay.
My favorite find of the day. Some days you get a lot, some days you don't. Hey, Thunder wasn't able to dance for you today. Maybe this dinosaur can. Just because this was the only thing I found today, pretty much the only good thing I found today.
Really?
I'm not going to blame it on the software, right?
Well, yeah. I bet you, yeah. I bet you tomorrow there's going to be some videos where people are like, oh, version 1.1.
It's not to please everybody. So,
yeah,
we have that opportunity to go back to previous versions, if you choose. But, there's some new features on this version that are really awesome. and this detector or this version, the 1.0, can be dialed back so it's not falsing on nails. It just, you have to learn how to dial that power back. It's a very powerful machine, and like I've said in the past, one program, your program that you have developed before on the previous versions are not going to work with this new software because the parameters have changed, and the algorithms have changed for certain settings that really impact the performance of the detector.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people were concerned about whether or not their programs would save after the updating. But with all of the updates, those programs that worked on a previous version, they're no longer, it's not going to work on the new updates. So, I mean, really, I think that's why they don't save automatically.
Yeah. You know, I didn't have any programs on my detector anyway, because what I do is when I get to a site, it's like if I'm an iron, I'm going to start with a program that's closest to my settings that I want to have in iron. I think the program that I use the most when it's wet out is the general program, and I've probably had the most success with the general program ever since day one. Ever since the version 4.4 I was using, that version was still good in the general program. But I probably found the most with the general program, just with different settings, different parameters, because it has that soil subtraction, and I have wet soil for most of the year. And the whole thing with testing metal detectors, or like beta software, or just getting a new detector, a lot of people are not able to hunt in the wintertime. Can you metal detect in the middle of December?
No, sir.
Can you metal detect in January?
No, sir.
Can you metal detect in February?
No, sir.
I can. Right? I have all year long, pretty much all year long.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
So I can test the metal detectors in the wintertime. But I'm just a little portion of the testing that occurs with different metal detectors. I've been testing metal detectors for 15 years, many different prototypes. But some prototypes didn't even make it to the market. Sometimes just trial and error, and some of the program or some of the versions that we have for the DS2 were trial and error too. We tried a lot of different stuff, but I really like the version 1 because it's really I can tune it to hot. And with this new version 1.1, I don't really have an opinion on it because I haven't really used it for very long, only a couple hunts. So only time will tell how it's going to be accepted by the masses. Like I said the other day, it's hard to tell how the end users are really going to accept or receive a new product or a new version of software.
Yes. Well, we'll know in about a week or so. That's for sure.
Hopefully, we'll know in a couple months.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now. What was I going to say? You were talking about, do you get, this is kind of, it might be a stupid question. I don't know. Do you get snow where you are?
It snowed a couple times this year, but never stuck. Every 5 or 6 years, we'll have a freezing episode, like, just a snowstorm with ice, and it'll just basically just destroy all the power lines. But it usually doesn't get below freezing here for too long. It might get below freezing here for like 1 or 2 days in the wintertime, and then it'll freeze. But in the daytime, but it usually does not slow. Every few years we'll get a few inches of snow, but not really much. The average low temperature for us in the wintertime, in the middle of winter, is about 34 degrees in the day. So
that's right.
It'll be cold in the morning. It'll be in the 20s in the morning. It'll be icy in the morning, but it always thaws. Most of the time, it thaws out.
All right, not bad. I want to remind everyone that if they have a question for Jeremy, just put an @Digging Canuck in it to maybe write the word question, and then type your question in the comments, and I will ask our guest. This is an amazing opportunity. This is almost like you and Jeremy are like sitting side by side on a, having a coffee or something. If you have a question, ask it. Now is the time to ask it. So ask it. Jeez. So Jeremy, I got to talk about your swing. I know that some people say, "Oh, you're swinging too fast," but there's a method to your madness, is there not?
There is a method to my madness. Many years of getting my swing style down, and I will change my swing style when I put a bigger coil on, or if I'm swinging a different detector. Every detector you have to finesse detectors. Like the older detectors, you had to swing them slow, close to the ground, and they were a lot heavier, so you pretty much had to do that. And they were bulky on the back end. The Deus 2, you can swing really fast because it's lightweight, and it doesn't have a huge battery box this big.
Yeah.
Not heavy. And it doesn't have a big pedestal. I've actually cut my pedestal off on my Deus 2 so I can hold it closer to my body so I could swing faster. If you have a detector that has like a big counterweight off the end of it, like I see some of these guys have this big counterweight off the end of their arm cuff, that is impeding your outswing, right? You have a forehand and a backhand swing, and when you swing out to the open, that the end of that detector is hitting your side. So you have to hold that detector further away, close to my body as possible, so I can easier on my arm, so I can continue to swing fast like that all day. And I'm not trying to go deep. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'm getting the pay layer. The pay layer is this deep. Jewelry, rings, gold, bracelets, necklaces are near the surface because the grassroots suspend those odd piece of jewelry up in the roots. And in playgrounds, in the summertime, I have to swing really fast because the kids want to get in the tot lot. It's in and out quick.
Yes.
And in the wintertime, I can spend all day long in a tot lot if I want, trying to go deep. But those deeper targets, once you start digging deeper in that those wood chips, it smells like a diaper, right? that clay down there is the nastiest clay ever.
My
those
goodness.
Wadded wood chips are horrible.
Got a question. Actually, there's two questions. First one is from Mona. And Mona wants to know, what do you recommend as a beginner machine? Beginner machine.
A beginner machine?
Yes.
A beginner machine? Something that's simple, that does not have a big coil, right? And something that does not have a lot of options on it. Multi-frequency machine is probably not going to be a good beginner's machine because there's a lot more things that go along with multi-frequencies. Something that has how to metal detect. It's about digging the holes. It's not about the detector. You can turn on a bounty hunter or a Fred Flintstone machine for all that. You just have to learn how to how to dig holes properly and learn what your soil is doing, like when it rains or when it's dry, or when you can go outside and metal detect, or when you cannot go outside and metal detect. Certain times of the day or certain times of the year you can't, like you can't metal detect in the wintertime. That's obvious. But when is it a good time to start metal detecting? When it's really good to metal detect right when it thaws out? No, because it's super mushy. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the most horrible conditions after it ices over because it's just super mushy. Same when our soil in the morning when it turns to mush after it's frozen. It's just the worst. But any detector will work. It's if you can get one for free, or somebody can donate one to you, It's a matter of learning how to dig holes. It's not about the detector, and discover if you like metal detecting or you do not like metal detecting.
Yeah.
Metal detecting is fun for the people who know how to do it already, but if you have a machine already and you want to, let's say, get a legend, or you want to get a D2, it's best to borrow one from somebody who you know, or befriend somebody who has a machine, and use it for. I'm sure most people will let them use their detector for a few hours to see how it works and to test it out a little bit, see if they like it. That was a good question, by the way.
Yes, Mona, wonderful. And thank you for answering that. Mr. Technical has a question. He says, or asks, will Jeremy eventually buy a Manticore?
I've had that question asked so many times. Am I going to get the Manticore? Am I going to get the Manticore? Am I going to get the Manticore? No, I'm busy doing other things right now. The whole thing with learning new machines is you have to have time to learn those new machines. I hunt every day. I'm hunting for over 2,000 hours a year, so I'm out every day, and I just don't have enough time to learn a whole different format, like the Manticore. I've that are similar. I've had the Equinox, and it's pretty much like a cross between those two machines, I think. The Equinox and the E-Track. By the way, the E-Track was one of the best silver machines I've ever used in my life. I got so many silvers with that machine when I was using it. But Manticore, it has its whole different problems than the Deus 2, and I'm on. I'm really my time is spent now. Maybe later on, different. I don't think it's going to be a Mind Lab product. I've had a lot of Mind Labs in the past. I don't want to talk bad about detectors, but every detector has its flaws. The D2 is just hard to use. Some days I go out there and I just get my ass kicked. Just the settings. Just get it out of tune, and I get it in tune, then it's out of tune, it's in tune, it's out of tune. And with the Equinox, it was really calm. It was once you get it to that certain level, it's really good. Just like the Legend, once you get it down, it's just good to go. I mean, it's not going to veer off too much off the settings. And I think Manticore is that way too. It's really stable, but I just have the time to use it to learn other machines. I really want to focus my efforts now with the Deus in the future, something that's going to come out in the future here. I kind of lost my opportunity with the Manticore already, so
that's all right. Gene P. Sorry.
And I just don't have the money, right? I want to really use the detectors that I have right now. I don't want to get a whole bunch of detectors that I'm not going to be using. I got the Xterra Pro, and I used it for a few there, but the hand grip was a deal breaker for me. I really like the performance of the machine, but the hand grip, I just, if there's one thing on a detector that's going to be basically just a deal breaker, it's going to be the feel of it. If you do not like the feel, feel of that detector, you're not going.
Well, especially if you're out in the field digging for like 5 hours or in a park for 5 hours. I mean, comfort's pretty important.
Comfort's pretty important.
It is. Hey, Gene P wants to. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Gene P wants to know, which GoPro do you feel works best? Because you've got one on your cap, do you not?
What?
What GoPro?
camera? A GoPro, yes, a GoPro 7 in black.
Ah, okay. And it's always on your you don't usually use it in your hands unless you're actually speaking to the to us.
Yeah, the whole thing with having a detector on your head is like a gimbal. It's a natural gimbal, and that camera is always where my eyes are looking.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a camera on my chest, I'm just going to tell you right now, the chest is the worst place for camera for metal detecting. It's good for like mountain bike riding or some other sports, but when it's on your chest, you got a lot of rubbing, and when you bend down, you're going to get a crotch shot. And every time you bend down, it's a crotch shot.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it.
Yeah.
and the what you're looking at, what I am looking at, if my camera was on my chest, what I am looking at is completely different from the chest angle, and it's chest is always out of frame. The target that I'm holding in my hand is always like way up here in my chest.
Yeah.
You're bending down every time you dig a target. So you're going to have to adjust your camera on your chest, and that just makes a lot of noise and it's too much work. When the camera's on my head, I don't have to worry about it. I just press record.
Yeah.
And just go for it until my battery dies. I cannot see what my camera is doing.
Yeah.
But I just have to have faith. I have to have faith that my camera's working. and a lot of videos do not turn out. When my camera's on my head, I have a lot more videos that just don't turn out.
Exactly.
Or there's smudge on my lens.
Yeah.
Or just the lens flares from the low sun angles. Just a lot of stuff can happen. That's when the camera's on your head. It's easier to learn on your chest, but you don't get as nearly a good video.
Yeah. Hey, New Hampshire Beach Metal Detecting has a real quick question here. He just says, Simplex or Xterra? Pick.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably the Simplex, just by like a little teeny bit. Only because the handle. I like the Xterra Pro because it has more tones. But I don't like the Xterra Pro better because the handle, like I said, is a deal breaker for me.
Yes.
If they had a different handle on that machine, I would be using that a lot.
Okay.
But the reason why I don't use the Simplex is because I have so many hours on it. I want to use something.
Is the Simplex the detector that I've seen you kicking across your lawn? Is that the Simplex? Oh.
Detector except the Equinox. And unfortunately the Equinox is the one that broke the most.
Yeah, that I believe.
But I've done that to every detector, when I'm testing metal detectors out.
Yeah.
I'm just hard on my gear anyway. If you watch me metal detecting, I'm just throwing my detector around. They usually don't break when I'm metal detecting. If once in a while a detector will break when I'm out in the field, like a coil screw or the Equinox, I've had it break several times. But coil screws are probably the most common part to break, or the arm cuff. But I've never broken a coil ear off on any detector except the Equinox. But I really like the Equinox, but it wasn't built very, very well. But if they could have the Equinox with a carbon fiber shaft, basically like the 900, that's a perfect detector for most people who want to upgrade. A 900 would be a really good upgrade from the Equinox or whatnot. Or if you're running a single frequency machine, the Equinox 900 is a really good machine for cheap,
Apparently you have a friend in the chat, the New Jersey Digger. Now he's got a question for you. Okay. So I'm gonna ask it. He says, ask Jeremy, legend or Deus? Deus, I guess he means, I hope he means Deus too. I think that's what he means.
Well, I use them for different spots, right? The legend works in the tot lots really good. They're just proof, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channels out there. The people who are using the legend in the tot lots is performing very well. I don't really see a lot of people hunting with the Deus 2 in the playgrounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer really not using the Deus 2 in the playgrounds because it just doesn't. I have to mess with too many settings because it's just such a powerful machine and the coil size. And so it's finicky with the Deus 2 and learn how all the settings really are interconnected. You're going to be frustrated with it and you're going to want to go to a different detector. And the detector that I would choose second in line would be the Legend, because the Legend has more coils and it's a little bit more versatile right now, because the Deus 2 does not have a small coil.
Yeah. Yet. I hope that comes soon.
I hope so too. But if the Deus 2 does get a small coil game on,
really,
we're gonna be really I'm gonna be having a lot of videos with the Deus 2. If a small coil comes out, I'll just be using it quite a bit.
So will you use that in the tot lots? Just kind of dial it down so it's not as powerful?
The small coil?
Yeah, if it comes out, would you use it? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. That's the whole thing with the Deus 2
Ah,
right now.
okay.
I don't have a small coil. If I had a small coil, I would figure something out. The whole trick with tot lots is a small coil. You're not trying to cover a huge area in a tot lot, and you're not trying to go 12 inches deep in a tot lot. You're trying to get the surface jewelry out fast. And a big coil in a tot lot is going to slow you down because it's harder to pinpoint with a big coil. And you're having to swing slower because it's a heavier coil. Right?
Now you don't. Speaking of pinpoint, you don't pinpoint stuff. Well, not like everybody else. You never. I would die if I ever saw you press the pinpoint button. But you don't do the little wiggly thing or anything like that. You just kind of know where it is.
When I push that pinpoint on the Deus 2, I usually start cussing because it's a 2-button operation. I just don't understand why they have kept that feature on the Deus 2. Why would you need 2 buttons to pinpoint a target? Just one single button. That's all we need. And I don't think a pinpoint button is really needed on the Deus machines because it pinpoints so well. Once you learn a machine, you learn how to pinpoint it without that pinpoint button. I'm sure if that pinpoint button was just a 1-button operation, I might use it, but I don't because the detector's not on my shaft. So I don't have the opportunity. And so when you push the pinpoint button on metal detectors, that puts it in direct current operation, right? Direct current is just one. It basically amplifies that target, and you put it in direct current. Alternating current is when you're swinging over a target, right? You're getting a repeating signal over that target. And I'm a more of a alternating current type of guy to pinpoint because I can know exactly right where that tone is coming at from the ground. When you push that pinpoint button, it could be anywhere within the range of your coil, right? I don't want to dig a big hole. I want to dig a small hole right in the center of the coil. That's why I'm looking down at the ground. When I'm swinging, I'm not looking at the detector when I'm swinging because I want to look at the ground. I want to pinpoint that target with my eyes right where that tone is coming from.
So there you go. The definitive answer on pinpointing. Now, Jeremy, is there something you would like to see XP Deus bring to the Deus 2 that they don't have already? Like, it could be anything, maybe even something that is crazy, but is there something that you'd like to see on the Deus too?
It's a small coil. All I ask for, man.
You don't ask for much. You don't ask for much.
I don't ask for much because I know what can be done and I know what's impossible. You know, when you're testing machines, you can have all the wishes you want in the world, but if it's just not feasible, if the engineers cannot basically complete your or basically do something like that, you have to really know what's doable and what's really practical and what I think the perfect detector would be. So since I'm going after jewelry, I only want a detector that will detect the first 3 inches of targets on the surface. And most detectors, if you drop your gain down, you're still going to get the big iron. But I want a detector that'll only pick the 3 inch, because that's where all of our gold rings. You know, all my friends and myself, all the jewelry that we find, pretty much like 99.9999% of the jewelry that we find, and we find a lot of jewelry, it's within 3 inches from the surface. If there's a theme to my channel, all shallow. I want a detector that's going to only penetrate the ground 3 inches. But that's pretty much not doable anyway. That's the pipe dream of mine.
Yeah, well, you're not going to be digging to China to get a gold ring, I don't think.
I don't want to dig to China. I don't want to dig that deep in forest. Yes.
If there are any new people watching, you do not want to be digging to China in a park. That's just not a good thing. Not a good thing.
I can dig to China and I can be clean about it, but I just prefer not to dig deep targets because it's going to be junk. You know, the more time I spend on deep targets, the less time I have to get stuff. Like this, right?
That's true. That's true. Yes, exactly. Well, it kind of looks like the questions have run out, Jeremy. It's about 8:15. I want to thank you so very much for joining me today. And people that are not familiar with Paystreak Superfreak's channel, today we talked about the Deus too, but he does other detectors as well. So do not be afraid to hop on his channel and have a look. He does a lot of live digs, which are really, really good because you get to hear the hear the tones, and then actually see what he digs up. Wonderful as well. And I urge you, if you're not already subscribed to Paystreak Superfreak, definitely give him a view. And I know that you will definitely subscribe to him because it's a very entertaining and knowledgeable. You learn a lot watching his videos, and that's why I think it's a great channel. Jeremy, wonderful, absolutely amazing to have you here today. I still can't believe that you're here today. My goodness, I got to pinch myself.
Well, it was really hot today. It was in the mid-80s today again.
Oh, so gosh. I wish.
We're having another mini heat wave again.
I wish. Hey, do you dig when it's really, really hot out?
No.
Okay.
I'll go to playgrounds, but in the summer when it's really hot, I just don't dig. I've only dug in the grass for about 10 hours in the last 3 weeks because the ground is hard as concrete.
Yeah.
You know, but I just mainly do playgrounds in the summertime.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz, for having me on your live stream, and thank you everybody for asking me questions. You know, hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely.
Kind of hard to pin me down and get me get me on a live stream. This is only my second live stream I've ever been on. So
wonderful. I feel honored, and it was, like I said, it was a huge privilege. Thank you. Honestly, thank you so very much. All right. I'm just going to say goodbye to the folks and take care. Have a great night, Jeremy.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Holy smokes. Why, my goodness. I still, look at this. I got to pinch myself. Jeremy was on my stream, people. Wonderful. I want to thank you all so very much for joining me today. Before I say goodnight, I just want to remind perhaps Canadians and people who are in the States close to Canada that there is a Woodbine Beach metal detecting event in Toronto on June 3rd. Now, the event is being exclusively sponsored by Nokta, and Delic is going to be there. And I got to say, I got to meet that lady. I totally have to meet that lady and have my picture taken. I will be there. If you are going down, stop by, say hi to me, get some stickers, get some buttons. We'll take a picture and have a really, really great time. If you received any entertainment or value from today's stream, please share the stream, leave a comment after it re-uploads, and give it a like. And I'll catch you again next week. Same time, same bat channel, perhaps a different guest. So take care, and thank you so very much for joining me. And I'm going to say goodnight. Good night.